Buying land here in Portugal can be a dream or a nightmare. It can go as smoothly as it possibly can, or can be a bumpy ride that might leave you wishing you hadn't started with this adventure in the first place.
So if you know about some things that can go wrong when buying land here, then they are less likely to happen to you.
Be prepared! Hi, welcome to our channel. I'm Luke.
And I'm Sarah, and we are going to start out with what we think are the three most important things when looking for land in Portugal.
Before we get into it, make sure you stick around to the end because we do have a helpful tip that really helped us a lot on our journey here.
And we still use it till today.
Okay, so before we get into the most common problems that people experience once they've bought the property and then it's too late to go back, we want to talk about what we think are the three most important things when buying land in Portugal, or anywhere I guess. Number one is access. You need access obviously to the property, and I mean there's a lot of dirt roads, and if you can't get onto your land it's going to be a problem. Number two,
water.
Can't live without water.
It's pretty important that once, even if they tell you have a well, you try and find it before you buy the land, because
yes,
many people have bought land, they think they have a well and it's an empty well that hasn't been filling up for years and years.
Also, if you could get some type of portable pump like these ones that you can put onto a battery powered drill, it would make sense to empty out the well to see if it refills, because there are wells that are spring fed and wells that are just containers for collecting water, for containing water. So it also depends what time of year you're going to go there, because you might have a little river or stream going through the land and you say, wow, that's awesome, we can do a turbine for electricity or whatnot, and then come end of spring and it dries out for most of the year. So the time of year is really important. And number three is
Fire safe.
Fire safety.
Property.
I'm pretty sure if you're looking into buying property in Portugal, you're aware of the problem of wildfires here in Portugal. So you really have to be careful and see that you've got different access in and out, different routes, and make sure that you're not surrounded by some huge eucalyptus forest on the border of your land. And just really have fire safety in your head when you go and view the property. It's really, really important and a huge problem in Portugal.
If you find yourself that you've bought a tiny piece of land in the middle of a eucalyptus forest, it's going to be very, very hard to, especially if the land around you isn't yours. You can't clean it. Now, on to the most common problems people have encountered after the land was theirs. And this could all have been avoided had proper searches been done beforehand, if they had known what to look out for.
One of the very common problems here is you buy the property and then you find out that if there's a ruin, that half of it isn't yours, or all of it, or a piece of land, there's a small part of land inside your land that belongs to someone else. I know it sounds crazy, but it really happens a lot here. But then the problem is that as soon as the person knows that you've got this huge piece of land with his in the middle, or hers, whatever, then the price is going to go up. So you really want to avoid that. Now there is this website called Direção Geral de Território, DGT. We'll put the link in the description below. It's basically the lands department, and it shows you all the sections, all the articles, where the borders are and all this, and exactly what part of the land is yours. So we've mentioned this in our other video with our 6 top tips on when buying land in Portugal. So make sure you get a lawyer, and make sure you mention to the lawyer, because we know people who got a lawyer and the lawyer didn't check these things, strangely enough. So be careful and make sure you know what you're buying, and everything within your borders is yours.
And speaking about the lawyer will check whether the property that you bought has any debt on it, because maybe in your country this doesn't happen, in ours it doesn't, but you inherit the debt as you buy the land. And we have touched on this in another video, and I will put a link in the description below if you want to know a little bit more about that.
Another problem is the legality of the buildings. There's a lot of properties that don't have habitation licenses. Now there is a rule where if it's built pre-1951 and you're not going to change anything drastic to the ruin, you don't need a permit to restore it. But there's so many buildings where they would have extended them and they won't be legal. So make sure that you go to the local parish council, it's called the Junta or the Câmara over here, and just make sure the legalities of the building and that you've got all the permits from the previous owners. And if it's not legalized, try and get it legalized. Try and make the seller get it legalized before you actually buy it. This may lead to problems in the future if you do decide to sell, because a bank won't give a mortgage to someone who's interested in buying your property if it's illegal. So be aware. If your ruin is pre-1951, make sure you get a certificate of free of use from the local council, from the Camera. We had to ask our lawyers and estate agent, I don't know how many times, to get it.
A few times, so
yeah.
you really have to be on their case, and we did not want to sign anything till it was in our hands.
Yeah.
That is very important.
Even though you have a lawyer, sometimes you just have to make sure that they're doing the right stuff, just to be safe. I mean, this is, in our case, it was our life savings, so you really want to make sure that everything goes smoothly.
I am sure there's more to look out for, obviously, so do a little bit more homework if you're really serious about this. But this is what we looked for, and everything went smoothly.
Alrighty, hopefully this video helped you. If it did, hit like and consider subscribing. And if you want to support us further, we are on Patreon and you can check us out there. We do put on a Monday weekly update on our off-grid life here. So if you're into that,
head on down to Patreon. I will see you on the inside.
Now before we go, our last tip that we said in the beginning is Facebook. Now, a lot of people don't like Facebook, but it's even worth joining just so you can join some groups of the area you're in. I can't tell you how many times this community has helped us with finding lawyers or architects or just even where to buy stuff, or it's just a treasure trove of information. And
with really helpful people.
Really helpful people. Okay, you get a few trolls every now and then.
That's everywhere.
Obviously, but you can ignore those. Yeah, and you can even find properties on there direct from owners.
Yes.
So it's really, really helpful.
We chose Portugal for many reasons. So if you want to find out what made us fall in love with the place and why we chose this off-grid life, then why not go and watch this one.